It was a really frustrating game, to be honest. Like, any time you get 76 inside 50s and the scoreboard's a lot closer than what it is challenging. But it was one of those games. Conditions are very tough. You know, once again, you have a lot of entries going inside 50, and there's just some rebound that we just couldn't get. You know, if we didn't score, they'd eventually find their way through. So, you know, it just goes to show, isn't it? It's a game of inches. You know, we have two really important smothers where our guys with Richmond man behaviours just put the pressure on as best they can. They get two crucial touches. So it's just how close the season is and what it looks like.
That was victorious Richmond coach Damien Hardwick speaking last night after they got it done by 15 points against Carlton. They are now into the top 8 at 8-5, and their draw becomes a little bit more favourable. They got Geelong in a big one at the MCG next week, but then it's West Coast, Gold Coast and North Melbourne in the next month. David King is alongside of me to analyse Thursday night football. Kingy, good game of footy in tricky conditions, and here come the Tigers.
Yeah, fast start, wasn't it? Kicked the first 6 goals and they just blew them off the park. I thought their clearance work was terrific early. Yep. Not something they're renowned for, but something they've clearly addressed in almost full health. I mean, without Dustin Martin in that team, that's about it. That's about the only one that's really not there at the moment. So you would expect a high-level performance. I know that we'll talk about the Blues later on, but the way Richmond play, I still think it's the best system in the competition.
So explain, I mean, you've done it a lot, and we've done it a lot over the last 4 or 5 years. In simple terms, if you're just jumping in the car this morning, explain to us how Richmond play.
Well, they want to play counter-punch footy all the time. They want to set up to win the ball back and then attack you when you're unorganised. So on turnover or on intercept, whichever way you're looking at it. But last night was a fraction different. That they won the ball initially and just took territory, just surged it forward, and they ran riot. I think the biggest challenge when you play Richmond is making sure that Dylan Grimes, Nick Vlaston, Nathan Broad just don't continually win the ball back at half-back. I don't know how you stop it.
Well, it was really interesting because I was driving this morning and Jordan was on and he played some of Damien Hardwick's quotes about how Sam Walsh was getting involved early, and you know he comes up from half forward a little bit, doesn't he, Walsh? So you think, well, do we go with him as a defender, or do we let him go and then that gives us the extra behind the ball? And if we put enough pressure around the footy, you force a quick kick. So, yeah, you lose the stoppage, but you win it back at half-back, and then you go to the names that you have mentioned. And on the other side, Richmond do it with Bolton, Shea Bolton. So if you want to drop off him, good luck, because he'll come up and do damage at stoppage and then reset. Or do you go the whole way and then open up your forward line? So the coaching battle is always fascinating, and largely it often revolves around, do you play 6 forwards or do you play 5?
But they sort of got beaten by what they knew was coming. The Carlton handballing game early was just a debacle. Yeah, they invited Richmond's pressure and they were good enough to deliver it. So the Walsh discussion's a ripper. Walsh has 16 touches in the first 40 minutes.
Yep.
Like, going into that game, if I'd said to you he's going to have 16 in the first 30, 40 minutes of the game, you're thinking, wow, Carlton are off to a flyer. You know, what would the score read? Well, it was 6-0 in favour of Richmond. So, tactically, people talk about, you overvalue tactics and you overrate systems. This is exactly what we're talking about. The individual numbers don't matter. That's what it's doing, the collective output, and that's why I think their system's so good.
Yeah, so Walsh had 34, but just 4 score involvements last night. Now, if you give 34 to a Petrarca or an Oliver, there's probably 10, 11 score involvements. So that would be the balance that they had. And I've written down here that they beat them up around the ball. And the start of the second quarter, Richmond kicked 3 stoppage goals, bang, bang, bang. And I thought, I haven't seen this happen to Carlton's midfield all year. Like, they've been probably, you would know, the best scoring side from stoppages this year, but Damien Hardwick said they identified that from round 1 when they got smashed, and they addressed it, and that was a big difference last night. So we'll get to Carlton in a second, but what does this do for Richmond, Kingy? I read out their draw in the next month, and if you play them on the MCG in a big final, you'd be pretty nervous right now.
Yeah, this is classic Richmond, isn't it? I mean, in 2019 they were 9th at the bye rounds, at round 14. Exactly the same this year. They just shape everything to charge late, to charge in that last bracket of the year, that last 6 to 8 weeks. It's very difficult to stay at the top of the table full season. And I think that when they failed in 2018 to convert top of the table into a premiership, they thought this is not the right approach. Get everyone healthy and make one sustained run from the old clock tower at Flemington there. So I think it's really interesting to watch them build. But they're at full health right now. Carlton, you couldn't say the same for, so I think they took advantage of some opportunities.